Let's see how this goes. Hello, I'm back home, as you can see. Just came back from a long, several months trip to Southeast Asia. While I was there, I had the opportunity to relax, immerse myself into the culture, talk to the locals, talk to Westerners either visiting or living or trying to move to these countries, move to live permanently. So I had the opportunity to dispel many of my own doubts, beliefs, lack of information I had myself. Because when you're there, I don't know if you guys have ever been there. Hopefully, this video is gonna help you dismiss false information is spread throughout the internet and YouTube and all other social media platforms where they portray a, how can I say this, fantastic idea or easy idea of just grabbing and go and move to Southeast Asia. When I speak about Southeast Asia, I'm talking specifically about Thailand, the Philippines, Vietnam. Um, some people mention Cambodia, um, Malaysia. But over the years, I came to realize that the main targets or the main hopes for these expats or Westerners trying to move to these Southeast Asian countries are Thailand, Vietnam, and the Philippines. All right. If you are one of those influencers that make videos about moving to these places, come on, man, you can place your comments under this video. We can have an argument, we can talk, we can discuss the issue. But anyway, I have the right to do my own video, and my point is trying to expose the fallacy, the fantasy of for Westerners, us Europeans, Australians, Americans, Canadians, that it's so easy to just grab and go and set up shop in these countries. All right. The first thing we have to think about is that as Westerners, we are being arrogant, believing that, okay, because we're Westerners, we're welcome anywhere and anyhow. That is not true. That is not true. Like I said, we're arrogant. And I will tell you about some measures that these countries are taking to prevent Westerners from moving to their country because they're tired of some things. Even, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna include. No, it's best if I leave it like that. But anyway, I hope this video doesn't get too long. Hopefully, it's gonna be the length enough to dispel some of your questions. Feel free to place a comment, share this video, or send me a direct message if you need more information about this. The purpose of this video is this. First of all, I want to prevent somebody from just selling the farm and move just cold stone move to these countries. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm gonna be honest with you. It has crossed my mind years back, last year. Every time I go to, it's a phenomenon. Every time you go to these countries, they're so beautiful. The weather is so beautiful. People is so nice, polite, helpful, inviting. The food is mysterious. There's many things. It's like a playground for adults. You have beaches, you have nightclubs, you have parties. Whatever you want, you find it there. But that doesn't mean that I'm gonna make this gross comparison, okay? If you go to Disneyland for a weekend and you love it and you like it and you have a great time, it doesn't mean that you have to sell everything you own and move to Disneyland to live forever. That is the best thing I can tell you right now. It's true. It just occurred to me. If you go to Disneyland, you love it, you have a blast. You go to the, to all the attractions they have there, and you love it, you enjoy it, and just I want more of this. I'm gonna sell everything I have, and I'm gonna move to Disneyland because I wanna have this every single day of my life for the rest of my life. That is the mentality of these people. They regret it. Let me tell you, they regret it. I met in Vietnam a guy. He was from England. First of all, before we continue, I'm going to tell you right now that you cannot move and leave to these countries. It's not like that. These influencers make it believe, or make you believe, or want you to believe that it's just, you arrive to Philippines, I'm just, okay, I'm going to stay here forever. It's like, it's not your own country. Those are people's countries. Those are different countries. What makes you think that you can just land somewhere and just set up shop, live there? That's it. Imagine that. That would be an amazing world if we could just, okay, I don't want to live here anymore. I'm going to go and move to Vietnam and set up shop there. I'm going to rent me an apartment. I'm going to start living there forever. No, it's a different country. They have laws and regulations. And let me tell you, these countries in Southeast Asia have a stricter immigration laws than the U.S. I'm in the U.S. They have a stricter laws of immigration. If anything, I would say that the U.S. have very flexible immigration laws. Here is the only country in the world, I believe, or I don't know. The world has changed so much. But anyway, for the last 150 years, the immigration laws in the United States were made so flexible, I guess, to allow anybody to just come here, move in and set up shop, get a job, rent a place to live, and just make it. There's people living illegally in the United States for 30, 40, 50 years. And they don't have to worry about it. Nobody goes looking for them. Nobody tells them anything. Regardless of the current situation right now, But it's not like the media is portraying it to be either. It's not like that grabbing everybody in the streets. It's like no. They're just catching certain individuals that are troublesome for the country. But anyway, the U.S., you can just come here pretending to be a tourist, enter the country, and just never leave. Yeah, never leave. That's the U.S. But that's the mentality that some Americans have and think that any country in the world is just like that. Well, I'll get there as a tourist and I'll just overstay my visa. Okay, let me tell you. No, you cannot. You cannot. I have never, if I travel the world. I know more than 100 countries. If there is one thing I'm concerned, worried about, I don't want to incur in this problem ever in my entire life, is overstaying my visa in any country. I'm scared of that. I don't want to get in legal problems in any of those countries, in any country in the world. I am very respectful. When I go visit their countries, I behave. I don't create any problems. I don't want anything. I'm very careful with the people. I am polite. I just go about my business. If I'm hungry, I go eat to a restaurant, pay. I don't want to misbehave and get in trouble with the law, because in any country in the world, if you go anywhere and you start abusing the locals, start acting stupid, start feeling entitled that, oh, because I'm an American I can just scream and yell and mistreat people. And no, they will call the police, they will grab you, and they will deport you. And if the situation was so big for them to take, they will ban you from that country for life. There's a lot of people I know about that went to the Philippines, for example. They start treating like the locals like stupid or this and that, pranking them, and they were not only arrested, they were jailed, they were tried, found guilty, sentenced to time in jail, and then they were banned, deported, and banned from the Philippines for life. They can never come back or go back to the Philippines. The same thing in Thailand. There's a lot of Brits and Aussies that go to Thailand and start getting drunk and start fights with the locals or in between themselves, and they start breaking things, and they spill over the on the street for the fighting with people, or they don't pay for services, and they get arrested on the spot. I don't know why people believe, oh, because I'm a Westerner, people's gonna tolerate everything I do. No, 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 no. They don't have to tolerate your behavior. They don't have to take your shit, and you will get arrested. You will get prosecuted. You will get deported. And believe me, I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I ever be deported from anywhere. Imagine that. That's gonna be with you for the rest of your life. You've been deported from wherever. Now, there's a misconception, for example, in the Philippines, that you can get there and extend your visa. It's not like that. It's not simple like that. It's not simple like that. In Vietnam, for example, I'm going to give you a real example. In Vietnam, you will get, look, if you overstay your visa, they will look for you. They will send police to your hotel on record because they ask you where you're gonna be staying. Also, they send emails to every single hotel where they suspect you could be, saying we're looking for this guy with picture, name, and everything. And the hotel clerks are mandated to say, oh, we have this guy here. They send they answer the email to the police, and the police show up in 5 minutes or less. They grab you, they drag you to jail, they process you. You have to pay fees for overstaying your visa, but on top of that, you get deported. So if you don't get banned, only deported. Next time you try to go back to Vietnam, talking specifically in Vietnam, they will see that in your record because that sticks with you forever. They will see that you've been deported, and they will see the reason: overstaying your visa, or failure to pay for food or whatever, or fighting with a local. They will see the reason, and they will deny you entry at the airport. They will just turn you around, go back to your country or wherever you came from. You're not coming in. So it's taken seriously. Same thing in Thailand. They put a warning under your name. So if you think like, oh yeah, this happened like 2-3 years ago, people forgot about it. No, you try to go there, they see your picture, your name, date of birth. This person was deported in this and that date for this or that. They put a reason there, and they will turn you around and say, can enter. You can go back to your country or wherever you came from immediately. If you act out at the airport, it's even worse. They will ban you for life right there at the airport. Anyway, well, the situation is that the problem is that every time I want to make these videos, I sometimes make them too long, and people tell me about it that they would like me to, okay, go straight to the point. You cannot move to these countries. They have a strict regulations, and specifically in Thailand, they are tired of the so-called retirees. They have a small amount income every month. They are tired of that because they have people trying to make a living with $700 a month. I understand. Some people from, I don't know, wherever, Europe or Australia or Germany, whatever, they retire and they have a small income that is not enough to make a living in their own country, so they look for these alternate countries to go and make a living. But no, you cannot live with $700 in Thailand a month. You cannot. You cannot. You cannot. Um, you cannot. I mean, you can reduce your living to the bare minimum, but even then, you cannot. You cannot. And if they see you wandering in the streets, or the people will report you. They'll say, "I've seen this guy. If it's been months. What's going on?" The police will stop you and they will investigate what's the deal, and you will pay a big fine for overstaying your visa. They charge you by the day. I think it's about $100 a day that you overstay. So if you overstay for 10 days, you owe the government $1,000. And if you don't have the amount to pay for your overstaying before they kick you out of the country, they will take you to jail first, and then they will deport you and they will ban you, because they are trying to get rid of these people. They call them like poor tourists. Um, in Thailand, for example, when you arrive right now, because they keep changing the laws, trying to protect the country from these people. Right now, if you arrive in Thailand, you get an automatic 60-day stay in Thailand. You can, and that's another thing. Yes, you can extend your stay, your visa, to another 60 days if you have a good reason to stay. And it's not like, oh, I love your country and the food is amazing, I want to stay. No, you have to have a reason to stay. Whatever. You have a good reason to stay. I can't tell you what reason, because nothing comes to mind. But you have to have a reason to extend. And that extension is going to cost you about $700. So it's not free, it's not cheap. So just to stay another 60 days is about $700. So it's not cheap. And you have to have a good reason to stay. Now, talking with these people that pretend to live in this country, what they do is the visa runs. For example, in Thailand, they let you do these visa runs. For example, what people do is they go to Thailand, they stay there for 2 months. They if they can extend it another 2 months. But after that, you have to leave Thailand. You have to leave Thailand. You have to go to another country. And I think the next day you can come back and entry with a new 60-day visa. What people do is they usually go to either Burma or Malaysia or Singapore, because it's right there and it's very cheap to go back and forth. It's about $150 round trip, but you gotta stay in Singapore for a night, and the hotels are very expensive there. So you're talking about minimum of $200 for a hotel in Singapore for the cheapest. So it's gonna cost you money, that visa run. You're looking about $400 for a visa run. So go to Singapore, pretend that you're there, and come back to Thailand to give. They will give you the two. I mean, some people play games like that. In Vietnam too, they send you to Laos for visa runs. And I met this guy. I was in a restaurant in Da Nang by the beach, and this guy from Australia approached me. Said, "Oh, yo, where are you from? I noticed that you're a Westerner, this and that." And start talking to me. I was like, "Oh, okay." I had finished my lunch by then, so I was drinking my coffee. So I started a conversation with him, asking him questions. And he looked tanned, and he was dressed very casual, flip flops. I was like, this looks like somebody who's staying here longer than a few weeks or a few days. So I asked him, how long you been in Vietnam? And he said, I live here. Oh my God. I was like, oh no, these guys, not another one that believes that live in Vietnam. Nobody can live in Vietnam. I mean, as a foreigner, you cannot stay in Vietnam and say, oh, I moved to Vietnam, I live there. That's why I hate these influencers. And there's few that I really hate because they provide so much misinformation, bad information, bogus information, and they attract they call them expats trying to move to live in Vietnam. First of all, Vietnam is a communist country, very strict. People do obey the law, and they don't let anything slide. It's a very strict. They don't bother you when you're in the street, when you're visiting the country. It's a very beautiful country. They don't approach. They don't harass you. They leave you alone because they want to attract tourism to their country. But you notice that people there, they know that their country is nice. It's a country of laws. People behave. Crime is down to zero in Vietnam. Um, you can walk any city at whatever time in the middle of the night, like very abandoned neighborhoods or whatever, dark areas. Nothing is going to happen to you. You can sit down and sleep in the street, and you can wake up. Nothing will happen to you. It's very safe in Vietnam. It's a very safe country, beautiful country. The food is amazing. People is amazing. I love it. I'll go back there several times. But you cannot live as a foreigner there. It's impossible. But so this guy says, no, I moved to live in Vietnam. It's like, and then it's like, oh my God, in my head, this guy, he's gonna come with his stories. Let him talk. Let's let him talk. So I start talking, say that this is his third month in Vietnam. Okay, so you have 3 months in Vietnam, and you consider yourself that you live in Vietnam? And he started talking, and he said before that he stayed in Philippines for 4 months, and then in one of those visa runs, he went to Vietnam. He got an online visa because you need an online visa, and you need to be approved, and they don't approve you in hours or days. Sometimes it takes 1 week, 2 weeks to get approved if you don't have any problems, any records, nothing. So you can be approved in about 2 weeks, and it's limited. They give you 29 days, not even a month, 29 days. Now, it's not like an open visa. That's what I thought. That was a situation with me one day. I'm going to tell you in a video. That happened to me. I thought, okay, I've been approved, and they sent me a letter, an email, and you have to print out that letter. And they say that they have approved my visa all the way to the 31st of March. And it says valid till the 31st of March. By the time I applied, it was the beginning of March. So from the time you apply to the time they reply to you, you have 29 days. So in my case, actually I believe I applied in earlier than that. Yeah, because the days count from the day they approve you all the way till 29 days later. So probably they approved my visa the 2nd of March. So that in the letter says valid from March the 2nd to March the 31st. So about 29 days. Okay. I thought, okay, as long as I enter Vietnam in that window, inside that window from the 2nd to the 31st, I should be good to go. I thought that is like in other countries where you arrive and they stamp your passport and you have a month. That's what I thought. I thought that window was for me to enter Vietnam. No. That was the visa. That was the time I was allowed to be in Vietnam. And I had to, when I got there the 18th of March of this year. And at the airport, when the immigration officer stamped my passport, I asked him, because I always ask, I want to double check, and he wrote it in the stamp, March 31st. And then I asked the guy, how long do I have to visit your country? And he said till March the 31st. The 31st, you have to leave. Oh my God. I had arrived the 18th of March, so I had 13 days to visit Vietnam, and I needed to do many things. I had a plan to travel Vietnam in motorcycle, and then I asked the guy, "How do I extend?" And he, because he was busy, and I was like clogging the line anyway. He gave me an address. He said, "Go to the." At the time, I was in Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam, and he said, "Go to the immigration ministry," and he wrote down the address and try and extend there, or ask them. He didn't say try to or nothing. He said ask them and move on. Okay. So the very next day, worried about that. I was like, wow, they just gave me 13 days to stay in Vietnam. I have many things to do. And I went to the Ministry of Immigration in Hanoi. And no, she said, no, we don't do visa extension. You have to leave the country, and you can come back if you want. And that's the clerk, the official of immigration. So I have to deal directly with immigration in Vietnam. And they told me no, but the 31st, you have to leave. Very serious. She wasn't joking. She wasn't trying to be overly friendly or smiley. No, she looked at me and said, you have to leave the 31st regardless. And at the moment when I'm talking about, I had a return flight. I was gonna go to South Korea, if I'm not, no, yeah, I was coming from the Philippines. No, I was coming from Hong Kong, and I had bought a plane for the 15th of April to go to Thailand, if I'm not wrong. But anyway, I lost that flight, and because it was 15 days later after the 31st of March, so I couldn't stay, and I wasn't gonna overstay my visa. Believe me, I don't feel like getting jailed in Vietnam for overstaying. No. So what I did is I buy another ticket. It cost me a lot of money, uh, an unexpected expense. I had to buy the ticket for the 31st to go to Thailand. I went to Thailand for a month. Um, Change of plans, complete mess, change, and then I had to do many things in only 13 days. I tried to do as much as I could, but I couldn't do whatever, all the things I needed to do in Vietnam. Um, so it's a real situation. So going back to this guy, uh, he said I've been living in, and then I started like digging. It's like, okay, first of all, apparently he was kicked out of Philippines for something. What happened was he at the end started confessing. He said he had to do a visa run, and instead of like going out and coming back to the Philippines, he he said, okay, I'm gonna go to Vietnam, and I'm gonna stay there for 2 3 weeks anyway, and then I go back to the Philippines. But anyway, when he went to Vietnam, he stayed the 20 days. He tried to go back to the Philippines, and the problem was that all the time that he had been there in the Philippines was all the time he was allowed to stay in a year. So he couldn't go back immediately to the Philippines. He had to wait 6 months to complete 365 days, and then try to go back to the Philippines and start the process all over again. So he wasn't allowed to enter the Philippines again. So from the airport, he was sent back to Vietnam. He had to buy a ticket because he didn't have a ticket to go back to Vietnam. He had to buy a ticket in front of the officer, the immigration officer at the airport. And he said because it was like that same day flight back to Vietnam, it was like a $500 flight for one way. But anyway, he went back to to Vietnam, and because he had the 30-day window, his visa was approved for 30 days, out of which he only used 20. So he had another 10 days, but he still had the departure date. So he was lucky that he had that 10 days left in his visa. Okay, in other words, if you have visa for for the 29 days. You can go back and forth if you want, as long as you stay within that window. All right, that's what happened with this guy. He thank God he had that 10 days left in his visa to Vietnam. So he entered Vietnam, and the same thing. He later confessed that he's been doing visa runs. He doesn't live in Vietnam, in Da Nang, in Vietnam, Da Nang. He does visa runs. What he does is the very last day of his approved visa, what he does is he goes to Laos, which is the neighboring country. It's a very short flight. It's like a 30-minute flight to the border. There's a border town. What these people do is they fly to Laos, they get a cheap hotel, and they apply online, and they wait like whatever, the 5 days, 10 days to receive their answer, and then with that visa, another 29 days, they go back to Vietnam. They stay there for the 29 days. They pretend that they live there, and then when the time comes, they do another visa run. I think they can do that 3 times. I'm not sure about in Vietnam. I didn't ask too many things. But anyway, the point is, like, these people that tell you that they have moved to Thailand, they have moved to Vietnam, they have moved to the Philippines, they're lying. They don't. They are tourists doing visa runs, jumping from one country to the next, spending a lot of money. That's what I'm trying to tell you. $700, $1,000 a month is unrealistic. You cannot make a living because if you manage your $1,000 for 1 month, awesome. But the problem is that these expenses I'm telling you about, the visa runs, the extension of visas, they cost a lot of money. So what these people don't tell you about is that you need to add those expenses to the $1,000 a month of making a living there. So like I told you, if you have to make a visa run, add another. If you're in that area in Southeast Asia and you're jumping from country to country, add another $1,000 easily for the visa run, the airplane ticket, round trip, staying in a hotel there for a minute until you receive your visa answer, your request, and then you fly back. So it's unrealistic, guys. Come on, I wish these people would stop lying and making it look so easy. It's not. And you know what? When I was in Thailand, I met this American from California. He had a beautiful house, and he, the usual. He was tired of California and the taxes, this and that, living to pay taxes. So what he did, he started watching these videos. And again, inform yourself before you make a decision. This guy, Joe, he started like watching videos about the expats living in Thailand, how beautiful it is, the women, the partying. And before, researching, he went one time to Thailand. He went to Phuket, which is not a real Thailand. I've rode my motorcycle all over Thailand. I know every single town in Thailand. Is beautiful, but it's not party town everywhere. It's a beautiful country. It's a normal country. People live there. They have families there. They have work there. They are born. They raise kids. They raise family. They get a job. They pay taxes, and they die. I mean, it's like anywhere else, like here in the States. So, but the problem with influencers is that they portray Thailand as a party town. Like everywhere you go is party, clubbing, and women, drinking, beaches. Thailand is way more than that. It's way more. Actually, the actual Thailand, the real Thailand, is more beautiful than what you see on the videos. If you go, I've been, for example, to Pai up in the mountains. It's a town called Pai, Pai, and you have to ride your motorcycle all the way up to the mountains. They have a famous 762 curves on the mountains. I did that. There's videos there if you want to watch it. And then came back down. I went to Chiang Mai. Anyway, Thailand is more beautiful than just partying. But anyway, this guy, going back to Joe before I close the video, he thought, Thailand is party town, women, and he was he was very, very focused on the women. I guess he wasn't getting any back in California. But anyway, oh, the women are so beautiful. It's so easy to get a girlfriend in Thailand, because he was watching the videos, the influencer videos. Anyway, he went like 2 weeks to Phuket. Phuket is party town. Everything is about tourists. They have Phuket has been invaded by the Russians. Phuket is a Russian party town. If you go there as an American or whatever, Phuket is Russian. Is Russia party town. Even the signs in the bars are in Russian, in Thai and Russian. For example, the pharmacy. I remember the pharmacy. It says there's in Thai. I don't know how to. And you know what? In Thailand, the pharmacies are not marked like in other countries, like in Europe, for example. The pharmacies are marked with a green cross. You know it's a pharmacy, even if you don't understand the language. But you see the green cross, you know it's a pharmacy. There in Thailand, nah, could be an open shop. That's it. And I don't know. To save my life, I don't know how to read pharmacy in Thai. But anyway, in Phuket, on top of and it's because I know the word in Russian for pharmacy, which is apotek, written in Cyrillic, in Russian characters, apotek. So for me, it's easier to find or know that there's a pharmacy there because it says apotek in Russian. I understand that from when I was a child. It's another story. And then in Thai. So anyway, my point is this: the restaurants have the menu. They don't have it in Thai and English. They have it in Thai and Russian. They couldn't care less about English because the volume of their visitors in Phuket are Russians. But anyway, this guy goes there. He is party town, women, drinking, bars, nightlife, and this and that. Beautiful beaches, boat rides, anything this guy dreamt about. He say I felt like I was in adult Disneyland in Phuket, Thailand. But obviously he was just in that area, the tourist area. He didn't go into the city because Phuket is huge. It's a big city. The real city, the real Phuket is a normal city. People live there, work there, have fun there and everything. But the tourist area, like in any country, is open all day long, 24/7, party, bars. Even during the daytime, you have the bars are open 24/7. The girls are there 24/7. So anyway, this Joe falls in love with Phuket. He said, "That's it. I made a decision. I want to stay here forever." He didn't do any research at all. So what he does is he goes back to California. He sells his house. He sells his cars. He sells everything. You know, and he lost a lot of money because he didn't know that if you sell your house in California, you pay a hefty percentage in taxes. I don't know how much he said. You can tell me in the comments. But he lost a lot of money. Pretty much he burned the house. He sold the house. He was still paying to the bank for the mortgage. So the bank took his chunk that he still owed. The government took his chunk in capital gains. And he was left with, he told me he was left after everything was paid, the lawyers, the title income, everything. He said he ended up with about $8,000 out of a $2 million mansion or big house. I never saw the pictures. $8,000. He thought in his fantasy, oh, I'm gonna get, okay, if I paid what I owe the bank, I might end up with $1,600,000, like $1.5 million or so. That was his plan. He said, I can live with from $1.5 million for the rest of my life. He's in his 50s. He said $1.5 million is gonna stretch for decades living in Thailand. Very ignorant guy because he didn't do his research. Well, he ended up with $8,000 cash, and not even cash. They gave him a cashier check. He said, "Okay, the damage is done. I'll see what I do." He sold the cars. They were used cars. Anyway, he scrape around and he ended up putting about $18,000 together, cash. But he was homeless. He didn't have a car. He had a couple of motorcycles. $18,000. He burned his life in California. He quit his job. He was still working. Anyway, and he said by the time I got to Thailand, he had and the first month I think he spent like half that amount. And then he faced reality. He thought it was just extending his visa or just to stay there. He started learning as he went. He learned about the visa runs. He learned about the limits that you cannot stay 1 year in Thailand. I mean, I think the limit is 180 days all put together. Even if you do the visa runs, you cannot live more than 180 days in Thailand. So it's half a year maximum that you can. He didn't know that. Anyway, in about 3 months, he was out of money. He didn't have any money, and he burned all the bridges in the States. It's not that he could come back. So this guy is in Thailand, and he overstayed his visa, and he said like he's been living in Thailand for about 8 months, and he feels hopeless and helpless. He doesn't know what's gonna happen if the police grab him. He's probably gonna go to jail because he doesn't have the money to pay the overstay. So he's hiding and he's selling stuff in the beach, and he's always afraid of police. No, he ruined his life. I met him in Pattaya at the beach. I thought he was a homeless guy, but he was blonde and gray hair, beard. I was like, hey, what's up, buddy? What are you selling? And then he sat down. I bought him a coffee, and he started talking to me. He told me the story. So there you go. There you go. Anyway, I'm gonna close this video. I didn't want to make it too long. Hopefully, you're gonna like it, guys. Share it. Pretty much my advice is stop following, or if you want to watch the videos, watch them. If you are curious about these countries in Southeast Asia, go as vacation, get to know them. And if you're one of those persons that want to move out of the States or out of Europe and move to another country, do your research. It's not about just grabbing and go and set up shop in wherever country you want to go move to. You cannot move to any country there. That's what I'm trying to say, guys. The laws in those countries are made for millionaires, investors that bring money to those countries to create jobs for the locals. Then you get an investor's visa. But you're talking about millions in cash that you have to have. If you're a millionaire, by all means, go there, invest, open up a business there, start paying taxes there, create jobs there. They will give you an investor visa, no doubt. I'm not saying that it's impossible to get a visa, but you have to be an investor and you have to bring real cash. No, we're not talking about promises to bring money. They want to see the cash first, and then they will give you the investor visa after you set up. They will give you a temporary visa first. You have to open the business. You have to start hiring locals. You have to start paying, and then when you prove yourself that you're a serious investor, it wasn't just a promise. You already set up the business and you hire people there to work for you. Now they give you the investor visa. It's not like, here, let's start, move. No, move to the country now. Be careful, guys. Be careful. That's my advice. This video is made for as a warning, as a please don't believe the information these influencers give you. Inform yourself. Be curious first. Research the issue. Go to these countries first as tourists. Get to know them. And then one day I want to make a video about, even if you get to live there in those countries for in however reason, you will not be as comfortable as you think. There's many things that people don't take into account when they think about moving to another country, leaving their own. So, okay. Goodbye. Peace and love. Keep on traveling, but be careful.